Welcome to the Own Your Life podcast, where our goal is to help bring hope, healing, and peace by sharing our experiences and inspiring you to own your life. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own Your Life podcast. Today is episode 85. You are right where you are supposed to be. And before I get into it, this is being recorded on Super Bowl Sunday. Hey, I'm not excited about it this year as much as I was last year because I am a Bucs fan, if you do not already know that. And I have been a Bucs fan for several years, so this is not a bandwagon thing at all. So sad they did not make it, but I am rooting for the Bengals. I do like the upset, and I really don't like Matthew Stafford, and I didn't like him when he was on the Lions either. So sorry, I am not going for the Rams. I really hope the Bengals pull it out, but by the time this airs, we'll already know. So I hope that everybody had fun on their Super Bowl parties and were safe, because I think that it's a statistic that the Monday after the Super Bowl is the most called off day by workers around the U.S. because they're maybe a little hungover from the night before and they call off, or they stay up too late and they don't want to go into work the next day. But I'm pretty sure that's right. So I did think that was kind of a funny fact. I will be at work tomorrow, which is already past by the time you're listening to this. So with that, I do want to talk about that you are right where you are supposed to be. And this was inspired by a post from Heidi Powell. If you don't know who that is, she's a weight loss aficionado, like, and very, very good trainer and helping people lose a lot of weight and get on track and whatnot. But she is dating Dave Hollis, who I do follow. I do like him a lot. And he has actually chosen to get rid of social media. So good for him. I actually thought of the same. But regardless, so I saw a post of hers. So this is why I probably wouldn't get rid of it, because I was inspired by a post of hers on Instagram that she was standing by a wall sign that said, "You are right where you are supposed to be." And I've heard this before, but just seeing it again just really inspired me. And I wanted to leave that message because I thought there's a lot of times that I feel, and I'm sure you have too, that maybe I could have been further along, or if I hadn't done or said something or gone somewhere or whatever, then, something else would have happened and it would have been better, or, something awful wouldn't have happened, something like that, if you could just go back and change. And I know I struggled a lot in the past, not so much now, but so much when I was younger, I would replay scenarios in my head hundreds of times and just like wishing I could just think it into a different ending than what it actually was, and just replaying it over and over in my brain. Like, man, if I had just done this, or if I just said this, or if I hadn't done that, then it would have been different. And just replaying it, like, to the point where it just drove me crazy and just so much anxiety, which I didn't know then, but it did just cause so much anxiety and depression in me as a younger kid, and even in my teenage years and whatnot, that I would just replay all these scenarios and then be so down on myself and upset about it because it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. At least I thought I'd wanted it to be that way. Some things that just like scarred me for so long that I just wish that I could like change it. I wish that I could just think it differently. And that is not always the case. And I do believe that everything happens for a reason, even if we can't see it in the time that it's happening, or even if it's in the past and you still don't get it. Sometimes it takes even longer to get to the reason of why whatever happened to you, or that you did or said or whatever, was for a reason. And maybe it was to learn something. Maybe it wasn't a good situation at all, but it was to learn X, Y, Z. Or maybe it was to, teach us a lesson not to maybe treat somebody a certain way, or do a certain thing, or hang out with a certain group of people, or whatever it was that we did. That is to teach us something. And I think, we can learn from everything that we do if you're looking for that. Some people can become bitter and hold that forever, or hold grudges or whatever it is for the rest of their lives. And I do believe that has physical impacts. I do know that bitterness does dry up the bones, as it says in the Bible. And it has shown like a lot of people who hold so much bitterness actually have a lot of arthritis, which is drying up the bones. So kind of interesting how that plays out. I do believe, I am a believer, and I do believe the Bible is very, very wise in not to disobey it in a lot of what it says, because it's right. It's true. It's saying exactly what's going to happen if you do that. So just that's one of the things that I've really thought about, holding grudges and bitterness and all that, and that it really doesn't serve you to do that. And even holding bitterness against yourself and grudges against yourself for like, man, I'm so mad at myself for doing this or saying this, or I ruined this, or whatever it is. That you just beat yourself up like crazy. And it's so important to give yourself grace and to treat yourself the way you would treat a friend, and having grace for someone. Because we all mess up. We all mess up, and we all fall short at some point. And I really was inspired by the quote that you are where you were supposed to be. So many times we can think, oh, if I had done X, Y, Z, I'd be further along. Or if I had bought that business, then I would be so successful, or blah, blah, blah. Or if I had taken that job, or if I moved to this place, or if I'd married this person, or if I'd, whatever it is, or if I'd gone on this trip, or, whatever you want to say, fill in the blank, then, I would be XYZ. I would be so much further along from where I am, and my life wouldn't be like this, or whatever. And and not that I'm always thinking these thoughts, but it just made me think, wow, I'm so grateful for where I am right now. Because a lot of things, actually everything that's happened in my life up to this point has got me to where I am. And if one of those things, even if it was something bad, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be in this spot. So it's being grateful and thinking about that, because you might have a totally different trajectory, and you probably would if something else had happened, or if you had chosen maybe a different job out of college or whatever, and it led you down a totally different path. Maybe you wouldn't even live where you live. You wouldn't have the kids you have, or the marriage you have, or whatever, because it would have led you down a completely different path. And so I know that, we all go through hard things, but when you can look back on it and see, and it might take years to see that, to see, why did this happen to me? I don't understand the good that comes out of it. And I know that I've struggled with certain things in my life that have happened, thought like, where's the redemption in this? Because I know God redeems all things, and I haven't seen it yet. And I would just encourage you to be patient if that's you, if you're going through a hard time, or something happened to you and you still don't understand, why did this happen? I don't get it. I don't understand why this happened to me. I'm a good person. I've done all of this, or I've done all this right, but still this hasn't happened, or whatever it is. Fill in the blank for your situation. That it is important to recognize, like, God has a plan for your life, and what is happening to you is happening for a reason, even if you don't understand it at the time that it's happening. And that to trust that God has got you. And this is all my beliefs. If you don't believe in God, I'm definitely praying for you. I hope you do at some point. I hope you find God, because I obey God. And when I have obeyed God, it goes very well. A lot of good things happen in my life, and I still go through challenges, but times that I have seen really bad things happen in my life, or maybe I've been the cause of it or not, it's usually been from not obeying God. And I just think that's so powerful to do that, and how much that has, an effect on our lives, and realizing that if we just can trust in God and trust that whatever's happening to us is happening for a reason. And if you are going through something terrible, just know that this too shall pass. It will eventually end at some point. Whatever it is cannot last forever. And same thing with this pandemic. It cannot last forever. It can't. It just can't. But that's my hope. My hope is that this is going to be, hopefully we are on in my thoughts, that we are over the majority of it, and that it's coming closer to an end than we are to the beginning. So that is my hope and my prayer, that this pandemic and all this craziness is coming to an end. And I think we've seen a lot of that with things that have been happening, whether it's been the trucker convoy, or just people standing up, parents going to board meetings or whatever, school board meetings, and protesting all the things, exercising their right to do so, that it's going to get better, that this too shall pass. So whatever you're going through, just know if it's really bad, it will pass. And just to trust in God and to keep pressing forward and doing the best you can do, and realize that you are where you're supposed to be. God is trying to teach you something, and you might not like it. Most of the times we don't like it when we go through hard seasons, because we want to hurry up and get out of them. And I know that's been me. It's like, okay, how can I fix this? How do I make this not hurt so bad? Like something like that, to just speed it up. And okay, I need to get out of this. Like, God, you brought me to the valley and I am ready to get out. I know I've been here for a day, but I am done. Like, let's go. I'm ready to get back on the mountaintop. And it's not always going to be like that. And I think actually rarely is it going to be like that. So just embrace whatever season you're in and realize that you are where you are supposed to be. And it's not a mistake. Whatever happened, maybe good or bad, it has happened for a purpose. And if you haven't learned from it yet, just know that will come in the future, and to look for it, to look for the lesson in it. Because I think a lot of us, if we go through something awful, especially a traumatic event, it's very hard. It's very hard to see where is there any good in this? What lesson can I possibly learn from this? It was so terrible. And I would just say, ask God to help you. Just pray to him and ask him to help point out why, because it's so awful. I don't understand how there's any good that could come out of it. So I know there are some pretty terrible things that a lot of people have gone through, and I'm not discounting that at all. And I do want you to know that, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and there's something to learn out of it. You might not see it now. It might take the rest of your life to see why. You might not know for a very long time, but just trusting that God has you and you are where you are supposed to be for a reason, and that your life has a purpose is so important. And I think a lot of us can give up hope pretty easily. And we get in comparison mode again, like with all the social media stuff. And I have a podcast about it a couple weeks ago, how social media is controlling our life. And it is, because it's making you feel like, it's making you more feel like that you're not where you're supposed to be, because you're comparing yourself to your best friend, or you're comparing yourself to your coworker, or another family member, or another friend, or whoever, or somebody you might not even like. You just happen to be like Facebook friends with them or whatever, or you just follow them. And you're thinking, wow, I should be further along, because if they can do this, then why can't I do this? And then you get stuck in this comparison mode, and it's just going to bring you down even more. And it's just so damaging. So again, social media is it's so awful in that aspect. It gets us to think that our life isn't good, and to think whatever situation you're going through, say something amazing is happening to you, but then you get on social media and you see somebody's got something better, or in your mind you think it's better, then you're going to diminish whatever's happening in your life, and you're going to think, wow, this is actually not that great. I wish I had that, or I wish that happened to me, or I went there or did that, or, oh, my family doesn't look like that, or whatever it is. And you're just comparing like crazy. And you're thinking, oh, I guess it's not as good as I thought it, because I don't have that, or it's not as good as theirs. And just stop comparing yourself. Stop it. Stop comparing yourself to whoever it is. It's likely whatever is going on in that person's life, you have no idea. Like if it's bad or whatever, it could all be smiles and pretty faces on their Instagram, but behind closed doors, it might be horrible. They might be hating their life right now and thinking some pretty terrible things. So just keep that in mind, that you never know what somebody else is going through, and that your journey is your journey. It is personal to you. We all have our own story. We all have our own journey to go through. And it's so important just not to compare yourself to somebody else, because you are where you are supposed to be. And with that, thank you all for listening. I appreciate everything from you guys. Please rate and review us. Please subscribe and share this message. And as always, own your life, because your life is your responsibility. Thank you all for listening. If this added value to you, please click subscribe and rate and review us. You can also find us at Own Your Life Co. on Instagram and Facebook, and ownyourlifeco.com. And as always, own your life, because your life is your responsibility.